Welcome to Paperweights, the podcast where two self-proclaimed gym rats and shooting enthusiasts delve into the world of literature with a sprinkle of humor. Although their biceps could crush a walnut, don't let that intimidate you. They also have a nerdy side. Mike and Brandon have a voracious appetite for reading, particularly in the fantasy genre, and they want to share their passion with you. So grab your protein shake and your favorite novel and join us for a humorous and insightful journey into the world of books with Paperweights.
Welcome back to another episode of the Paperweights. I'm your host, Brandon, and I'm joined today by Justin.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Justin, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Have you gone outside today?
Today, no. It's been a lazy Sunday.
Man, the weather outside today is like beautiful. It's like 70 degrees and
Nice.
sunny and a nice little breeze. So,
No, I've just been finishing the reading and watching NBA playoffs.
okay.
They started yesterday.
The Pelicans, did they make it or no?
We made it. Zion got hurt, so we'll see if we make it far, but we play tonight, so it'll be fun.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I took the dog for a walk right before the podcast, but other things I did today is I actually took out Taverns of Tiefenthal, which we were playing last night, and I set two boards as a two-player, and I played both players, and I did the second module. We only played the first module yesterday, but the second module actually adds a schnapps mechanic, so and entertainers. So you'll use the other side of the monastery board, and as you move the moon piece over, each player will gain schnapps, and at certain points they'll gain an entertainer for the tavern, and so you can pay the schnapps you earn, and as you go around the tavern track, you can gain schnapps that way as well. And then there's some cards that give you, I think some cards might give you some schnapps, but I may be mistaken on that one. But each entertainer has a certain number of schnapps that you could pay towards them, and they'll give you something. Like one, you'll pay three, let's see, for every schnapps you pay them, it'll generate 3 gold coins. And so like another one there, you pay, I think, 2 schnapps and you get 3 beers.
Okay.
And so kind of
that was a fun game. I'll have to play it again.
Yeah, so I played the second module through all the way, just to kind of understand it, because I hadn't gone past the first module. So
yeah.
And I think next time we play, we might actually get all the rules correct.
Yeah, that's the fun thing about board games. You play them, you're like, I think I know what we're doing. You find out totally wrong, but still fun.
Yeah, so we went over to Caleb's house yesterday and we were playing board games for the majority of the day. I had said I was going to leave and ended up staying another 2 hours.
Yeah,
but we were playing. I got caught up in the party game. Was it just one word? Is that what
just one? Yeah,
just one. And that one was pretty fun. So
that was fun.
Basically, go ahead.
I was just saying, I might have to pick it up.
Yeah, I was thinking about picking it up too, but I'm always hesitant to pick up things like that, because if everybody has a copy, then it's kind of like, okay, well, if we're all gonna play together, like if it's only us that play games together, why do we need multiple copies? But if there's other people we play games with, then having it around is cool. So yeah, alrighty. So Mudcat Whiskers is our sponsor, beard care products and wood wick candles. I meant to light my candle before we started the podcast, so it makes it smell good. Now, of course, you can't, or the listeners and the watchers can't smell it, but it'd make it better smelling in here. Although it does smell like steak, so I cooked some steaks for a late lunch, early dinner. So, but But yeah, if you want to support our sponsor, Mudcat Whiskers, you can go to mudcatwhiskers.com and at checkout, use the promo code Paperweights to save yourself 15% and get that beard looking good and soft and free of dandruff. Um, and they have beard wash, beard conditioner, oils, balms, beard butters. They even sell combs for your beard.
That's
So
cool. Yeah.
yeah, so go check them out. And they're good guys. They're local to Louisiana, and they support us. So support
Yeah.
those that support us. So, all right, this week's reading, we're like, how do you? I was having trouble referring to the third quarter. I guess it's the third quarter of this
Yeah.
book. We're in the third quarter of this book.
Yeah. I guess that's how you'd say it. The kind of rising action before the climax, I guess. That
Yeah.
part.
What was your favorite part about this? Briefly.
Briefly, I don't know. I liked all the like Dumbledore piecing out and all that stuff was interesting. And the Fred and George stuff was fun.
The Fred and George stuff was really fun. At the end when they go out with a bang.
Yeah.
They kind of exited the same way that Dumbledore did,
Yeah.
kind of a bang and then gone. Uh,
Yeah.
but I have to say, my favorite thing in this section was McGonagall.
Mm,
And she sneakily came in and became one of my favorite characters in the book series here. Because for the most part, you like most of the kids kind of revered McGonagall as kind of a, I guess, prudish, by the rules, older lady that's just like not hip to anything.
yeah.
And then in here, when she's going, like you see her going to bat for the kids and for Hogwarts against Umbridge. And so
Yeah.
it was awesome to see what we usually find annoying be positive for something. So like if you ever have somebody a friend and most people are like, "Man, that guy's a butthole." Like the way they respond to anything is like, "Man, he's just so direct and so just like off-putting." But if you're with him and like your friends, even though he might treat you that way, when you're out somewhere and like somebody's trying to mess you all over, screw you all over, and they're being that way towards like maybe a store manager or somewhere or somebody out in the wild and they're putting that personality forward for your benefit, you're like, hey, that comes in handy.
Yeah, it's also like we get to see more of the teachers as themselves. Previously, they're very much like in their teacher persona. It's like if you have your high school teacher and then you see him like out and about and it's like actually a real person. That's kind of how I liked seeing McGonagall and more a little bit of Snape is like kind of real personality.
And you even see Flitwick come in a little bit,
Yeah.
like dancing around. So, all right. So we'll start off with chapter 21, The Eye of the Snake. So I really thought there were three very important things in this chapter that were really kind of worth noting, and we can go into detail with them. Um, but I just want to point them out at first. So we have Hagrid's class inspection, Ron and Choi's kiss, or not Choi, Ron and Cho. That's funny because the company I work for, there's a guy named Ron Choi.
Mm.
And that's why I said Ron and Choi. But Ron
Uh,
and Cho's kiss.
you mean Harry and Chose?
Yes.
Yeah. I was trying to think if Ron also got kissed, but no, he didn't.
He got kissed, I think in last section, like
Mm.
Hermione kissed him on the cheek.
Yeah, yeah.
But here Harry and Cho kiss.
Yeah, we get a lot of their relationship this section.
And Hermione's explanation of feelings.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the end of this chapter is Harry's dream of being a snake, and subsequently the news of Mr. Weasley. So,
Yeah.
uh, So we with Hagrid's class, we find out they actually learn the name of the horse winged horse things that
Mm,
Luna and Neville and Harry can see, and they're called
yeah,
thestrals.
Thestrals.
I know we were trying to remember that word or that name in the last one.
Yeah.
It hadn't been named yet, so good thing we didn't come up with it. I don't know how bad of a spoiler that would have been, but um,
I
how did
mean,
you feel about Hagrid's inspection? And like Hermione was pleading with Hagrid, like, please, 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 you got to do something safe. You got to do something
yeah.
safe. And he's like, no, I got something for you.
Yeah, I mean, Hagrid's always been kind of like that, so it was fun seeing him. And it's interesting that Umbridge actually gets to him. Like I would kind of expect him just kind of like shrug her off and be like, but he's actually like really bothered by her, which is really fun and interesting to see that. But yeah, it's fun seeing the undead. I guess they're undead. Horses, the Thestrals.
I feel like they would be undead,
Yeah,
but it
we didn't learn how they were like made, right? I don't think so.
no.
But yeah, they're cool.
I actually kind of now that you called them undead, um, one of our other favorite series, the Cold Fire trilogy.
Mm,
I'm kind of thinking of the what are they called? Unhorses? Is that what they were called?
I
Or
think so.
yeah, where they didn't have those animals on the planet, but through the Fae, they
Yeah, they were able to
created.
made them, yeah, or evolve them from other stuff.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it kind of reminded me of that term and how they look.
yeah, and it shows more of like Dumbledore's and Hogwarts power because they actually like control them and have them, do the carriages and stuff. So it was fun seeing more beasties.
And I don't think Umbridge, it didn't, I didn't get a feeling that Umbridge could see them. But, she kind of mocks during it, she kind of mocked Hagrid about them. It's like, oh, they're there, are they? And just kind of made light of Hagrid and kind of treated him as if he was dim-witted and slow.
Yeah,
Um, and she stated, that Thestrals were dangerous creatures, so she knew of them,
yeah,
which was just odd because it almost felt at the very beginning that she was trying to play that, like, what are you talking? Because the other students, like Malfoy, he couldn't see them. He's like, well, what are you talking about? There's nothing there. And
yeah,
so it was interesting to either go, it is interesting to see Umbridge's character go with that they were dangerous, as opposed to play to the fact that no, these things don't exist. You're crazy. Harry's crazy. Luna's crazy. Neville's crazy, and kind of go that way with it. But I think that would only serve the students that were kind of
yeah,
naive.
yeah. I mean, I think she knows they exist, so marking them as so like going that route wouldn't really accomplish much. She's trying to like discredit them by like having them be basically sound incompetent by making them like stutter and writing all this stuff like their students are too intimidated to do anything, just like all these different notes. So I think that's the more like practical route of getting him kind of fired or his prestige gone, which is scary because she's smart.
Yeah, she's scarily smart.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that was just kind of the entire point of that inspection with Hagrid's class, and he was kind of upset. We After the class, we find out he's just like, oh my gosh, this is very terrible, and he ends up being on probation,
Yeah.
which he's still allowed to teach while he's on probation, which is kind of a weird thing, Like if you get put on probation, it's like I would feel like they're still at Hogwarts, but they're not allowed to teach, or at least not be the primary teacher.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't seem like they have a big like roster of teachers there. so it probably would just shut down the school. Um, so yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I think it was more like maybe not the right words, more like a warning, like a demerit on like a job review where you might get terminated at the end of the term or something, or sooner as we find out.
Yeah. We do have, let's see, was it after the class? So Hermione was walking back, and just it's winter time right here. And this was one of the I noted it as one of the rare times that we see just magic being done for a convenience, which is just a neat little detail because they're walking down and there's snow all in the path, and Hermione's just like casting a spell to melt the snow as they're walking through. And it
Yeah,
was just like a little nice little touch where I was like, oh. And then of course, time in this book is kind of strange because I was very surprised to find out that it was December already. I mean, we are halfway through the year, but I guess June through December and then halfway through the book. Okay. I mean, that
yeah. I
makes
mean,
sense, but
they if they skip a lot of months, like time passes very quickly in this book. If you're not like super paying attention, be like, oh yeah, this month happened, and it was just more studies. And you're like, okay, so yeah, it's
and I think this might be the first book that they skip Halloween. I don't remember them talking about anything with Halloween unless it was like
uh,
during the Quidditch match.
yeah, I don't think so.
Because all the other years, Halloween was kind of a big, kind of had something going on. Because I think in book two, there was the nearly headless Nick's death day. Book one was where they went out and fought the troll. Book three and four, I can't remember each one of those, but there was definitely something in Halloween in most of those books, I think.
Yeah, I think they should just skipped it. Maybe get a little variety.
Yeah. There's a few other little tidbits to kind of note here, um, which was funny. Dobby decorated the room of requirement for Christmas
Yeah,
for Harry and everybody. We find out Jenny is the new Gryffindor seeker, and that she's
yeah,
actually pretty good.
yeah. She's pretty good.
And I think Fred and George, they were surprised. They're like, well, "Why is she the seeker?" And I think Hermione might have pointed out, or Ginny herself might have pointed out, it's like, yeah, whenever y'all weren't around, I would grab your broomstick and practice.
I think it's Hermione. I think like it's kind of interesting in this book. It seems like they're like quietly pretty good friends, Hermione and Ginny. They don't really interact that much, but it seems like they are like pretty decent friends.
Probably gossip a lot.
Yeah, yeah. But
Uh,
I guess since we don't get anyone else's points of view, we don't get their like quiet friendship that often.
yeah, there were some funny things uh, here. Well, one cool thing is we do see Neville progressing. Uh, they stated it was progressing beyond all recognition. So he's really impressed Harry with how much he's improved on his learning the defense against dark arts.
Yeah.
Cho Cho had told Harry, "I've never been able to stun anything before," and around this time, she seems to be stunning Harry pretty well.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Emotionally and
Yeah. Except she's too traumatized.
yeah, she is very traumatized. And Ron, you mentioned it last time that Ron has trouble reading the room, and he's talking about. So Harry's talking about Cho and that she started crying, and Ron is like, "Well, you think a little bit of kissing would have cheered her up, right?" Dude, like your boyfriend died, and she's trying to go through this tragedy while being with somebody that she likes as well.
Yeah, but also, Cho, you could just be single for a year. It's fine. Just get over your trauma a little bit. You don't have to just immediately jump into Harry Potter. Like, you're obviously not ready, as we'll see at Valentine's Day.
True, true, but also it could be. It's one of those hard things, right? It's like, all right, I just lost somebody, and I'm seeking some type of comfort, and she was already liking Harry to begin with, and so she's trying to go through that, and
Yeah.
true, but very she should probably stay single for a little bit and get over that trauma of losing her boyfriend.
I mean, it's a little bit of a red flag when every time you're on a date with somebody, you bring up your dead boyfriend. Like, you might need to step back and take a little time.
Yeah, I Harry doesn't really pick up on that either. Like
Yeah.
he's like, oh my god, she likes me, but man, this is annoying. Like, but I guess I gotta deal with it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
dude,
Harry's terrible at this too. So
I mean they're 15, so like I
true.
remember when I was 15 and liking liking girls and wanting to talk to them and everything, and it was just like it was a train wreck.
Yeah.
Unless somehow you get lucky and very charismatic and charisma is not your dump stat, then you get going pretty
Yeah.
well. It's difficult for most people when they're 15 years old.
Yeah. And none of us had significant others die or get murdered. Oh, hopefully not.
There's
So
probably some people out there, but not
yeah,
not you
but
and me.
not me, you and me. Um, and then what? At the end the attack happens, right? The
Yeah,
dream.
well, as Harry was leaving the room of requirement, they were he and uh Cho were left, right? And
Yeah.
oh yeah, so that happened right before we were talking about Harry and everything, but or not Harry, Ron and Hermione. And so yeah, that was the first time they Harry and Cho made out. And then the attack happens at the end. So Harry has that dream again. And I know we were talking about that in the previous section where it's like, what does this dream mean? Where he's going down a corridor to a door.
Yeah.
So he has it again, and this time he's like, I was a snake and I bit somebody. And that person's
Mr.
did he
Weasley.
realize it was Mr. Weasley right away? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he wakes up and he's like, your dad's been attacked, basically. Because Ron wakes him up from the so yeah, he was the that snake. Do we know the snake's name? Have we met the snake yet?
We have the snake was in the graveyard in Goblet of Fire,
Okay.
and I'm pretty sure he named him. But I don't think that's much of a spoiler. Nagini,
Yeah.
like knowing,
I didn't even
no,
remember the snake's name.
oh,
I just knew it had one.
it was said so many times last night too, while people were playing the Harry Potter game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the dream that happened. It was funny because he was dreaming of Cho at first, and Cho was comparing him to Cedric, and that Cedric
Mhm.
gives her so many more things. And Hermione was like, "Well, maybe you should give her your firebolt since you're not going to be using it anyway." And then the dream switched over to him slithering down a hallway and biting Mr. Weasley.
Yep. And
He thought he was dead, and so
yeah, I
he
mean, honestly, it should be, considering that snake has like poison where your wounds don't close.
mhm.
So like he should have probably bled out pretty fast.
Isn't it like a lot of venoms will do that where it's like an anticoagulant,
Yeah,
so your blood won't coagulate and form a scab, so you just continuously bleed.
yeah. But this one's like magically opening the wounds, which is pretty crazy.
They should stuff. It's actually a good first aid thing. if you have like a gaping wound that won't stop bleeding, like take a tampon and shove it in there, and it's actually good first aid tip. So maybe they should have done that. Would have been the perfect time to introduce that into the books.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe they didn't want kids. Maybe she didn't want kids just going asking their parents, "What's a tampon?" It's like, well, it's this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It stops bleeding. He rushes to McGonagall,
yeah. Who takes him to Dumbledore?
and she is, yeah, she does eventually take him to Dumbledore at the end, but like nobody was believing him. And when, um, so he's like, "I'm not lying. I'm not mad. This is what happened. This is what happened." And she's like, "Calm down. I believe you. Like, put on your dressing gown, and we're gonna go to the headmaster."
Yeah.
Which brings us to St. Mungo's Hospital for Magical Maladies and Injuries,
Hmm.
chapter 22. The um the icon on here is like two smoky snakes coming out of a,
Yeah.
what is that? Is,
Mm.
yeah, what is that, like a
Like a
lamp or a lantern type? Or an
yeah, maybe like a
incense burner?
hookah or something. Yeah, incense. It's not a hookah, but like an incense thing. I don't think
Yeah.
it.
They talked about it. I don't remember, like they described that event happening in this chapter, but it wasn't it wasn't big enough, like a thing,
Yeah.
effect for me to highlight it. So, but this is the chapter where Dumbledore actually talks to Harry for the first time since the hearing,
Yeah.
and he didn't even really talk to Harry at the hearing.
No.
So essentially, this is the first time he's talked to Harry since the him coming out at the graveyard in July, June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have talked to him a little off screen or something, but this is what we have have on page.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I really don't know why Dumbledore is keeping his stuff so close to his chest. Unless it's feels kind of like the Last Jedi over here. It's like
he's Skywalker.
uh Ron, not Harry's Poe and Dumbledore's the purple haired admiral.
Oh, that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It
I
feels a little
for,
like that.
I forgot a lot of that movie.
It's not really worth remembering.
No. Especially since the majority of it was retconned away with
Yeah,
Rise of Skywalker.
I haven't even seen that one.
You didn't see the ninth one?
Nah, that was really no point to it. So
It was
I heard it was bad, so I was like, yeah, I'll pass.
it was better than The Last Jedi, but it wasn't good.
Yeah,
I've
Mm,
yeah.
that's something.
Actually, book seven. Never mind. I can't talk about that. We're not there yet.
Yeah,
Um, all right. So McGonagall takes Harry to see Dumbledore, and they go to his office, and she just like blurts out loud the password to get into his office. I'm like, they have literally no password security.
I assume it changes a lot.
Right, but once a student hears it, it should be changed.
Yeah, I assume like it, it changes. I don't know.
And how many candies are there in the world? Because so far, every time we've heard the password to Dumbledore's office being said is a candy.
There's a lot.
Because even last book, when Harry was trying to go to Dumbledore's office, and he's like, "I got to get in there," he was just rattling off candy names, and then eventually it opened, and he's like, "Oh, it's that one? Well, that's weird."
Mm, it's funny.
Before they enter, they do hear a whole lot of voices that immediately stop. But when they go in, it's just Dumbledore sitting in the office.
Yeah,
I think it's just Dumbledore.
Yeah, it's just them. It's the portraits of the headmasters.
Right. All the other portraits were talking. I couldn't remember if there was anybody else that was just sitting in there.
I think that's all.
But yeah,
Because
it's him. Go ahead.
it's just because they have like a network of portraits of headmasters of Hogwarts places, so they like can spy around, and they're
Yeah,
like and they're like magically bound to help the current headmaster at Hogwarts. It's kind of weird, but
and
cool.
this answers your question about in the first section where you were like, this blank picture just talked. Like, what the hell was that? It was one of these.
Yeah, it was the
It was Nigellus
yeah,
Black,
yeah.
and
It's
he
still
was
it's still weird that Harry didn't comment on that because it just did it and like ended. But that was a weird end to that chapter.
true, but who would he comment it to and why?
I feel like he like turned around and looked for the person and the portrait was blank or something. I don't know. It could have just had something.
Well, I think
Or-
I think it did say from a blank portrait came a voice.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
The portraits are weird
they are very
because
weird.
I guess they're sentient. I guess they're just you get like they're like the heads in Futurama. You just have like an imprint of the person, and they're like memories. And it also seems like they can do magic because one of the portraits was threatening the other portrait with magic, so he could help Dumbledore.
When was
Oh,
that?
I think it's in this one. Uh,
Hey, I don't remember any part of
uh,
it.
yeah. So, let's see. We are honor bound to give service. Shame on you if he's talking about Phineas, the Slytherin guy. And then, shall I persuade him? Called a glint-eyed witch, raising an unusually thick wand that looked not unlike a birch rod. So,
Okay.
like threatening magic. I don't know if they can actually do magic, but she had her wand. So,
Let me at it. He kind of reminds me of Sir Cadogan, who was briefly the gatekeeper for the Gryffindor common room. Like I think in book two, when the fat lady fell asleep or something, or she went off in the middle of the night and was gone. And so, oh no. This was in book three when she let let Sirius Black in. And so after they found out that she had let Sirius Black into the common room, they replaced her with Sir Cadogan, who was a knight, and he's always like, "Come back here, I'm gonna fight you." It's like
yeah.
he obviously can't stab anybody outside of the picture, but he always wants to fight.
I don't know. I want a novel with it was the main character is a portrait and they do portrait stuff. Be fun.
Will you
It's
want?
all
Are you gonna write J.K. Rowling and ask her for that?
I might. I might.
We're gonna ask her to be on the podcast too.
There we go. She'll definitely come.
Absolutely. She's just sitting there in her millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, I don't have anything else to do but join these two nerds from Louisiana on a podcast.
exactly.
Oh, this okay. This is a good question right here. So, in chapter 6 of Goblet of Fire, which is I think titled the Port Key, and where they take the boot to go to the Quidditch World Cup, it's port keys are described there as objects that are used to transport wizards from one spot to another at a prearranged time. Okay. So after here, let's see here. Okay, Harry, Dumbledore is going to take everybody through a port key, right?
Yeah, they're gonna go to the Sirius's house, basically.
Yeah. So he's like, "You have all used a port key before, huh? All right, good. On the count of three, then one, two, three, and go. All right. So book four established that port keys had a set time for usage. So either Dumbledore can just create a port key and set the time, to any time he wants. Or he already knew this event was going to happen at this time and had the port key set up.
Yeah. I wonder maybe if like he was able to like get the weapon out, um they would like meet up at Sirius's house, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but he's in.
But isn't he guarding the weapon?
They're guarding the weapon. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they are guarding the weapon, and we find out Sturgis Podmore was guarding the weapon using, like we find out this in the later one of the later chapters, but they had already last section. There was an article that I kind of skipped over, but it was about Sturgis Podmore, who was a ministry official who was arrested for breaking in,
Yeah.
trying to break into a door. So he's part of the order. And in this section, we find out that he was guarding it during the hearing time, right around the hearing.
Yeah,
And
he got mind controlled.
yeah, he got the, not Cruciatus, the,
Imperatus or something like that.
yeah, Imperious Curse.
Yeah.
And so by Malfoy, Lucius Malfoy, but he was still under the invisibility cloak.
Yeah.
So they're guarding it, right? And Voldemort's trying to get through. The Death Eaters are trying to get through the Order's protection, but they have to. So the Order members, the members of the Order that are working in the Ministry, they have to be very careful not to give away that they're working for the Order, else the Ministry is going to sack them, and then the Death Eaters, Lucius Malfoy, etc., that are in with the Ministry are going to be able to get into the Department of Mysteries, which is where they're trying to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that's was his plan. Whereas if he got the weapon, he's going to get them out.
Yeah. I mean, probably she forgot her rules, or she's just hand waving that Dumbledore can create it.
And it's not the only time, because book 4, the Triwizard Tournament Cup in the maze was a port key, and Barty Crouch.
I don't know. In my mind, I just kind of have it as like a scroll town portal and like a Diablo or something. It's just like, yeah, it's just a teleportation thing. Just kind of works. I kind of forgot the rules for it. I think she might have hand waved it as well.
Yeah. But it was just interesting. Like, okay, they went through all of this, and she even described them as needing to be ordinary items that Muggles wouldn't pick up. So trashy enough that somebody's not gonna be like, oh, I need to take this because it's cool, but not super trashy that they're like, I'm gonna pick up this litter.
And also, doesn't this break the you cannot apparate in Hogwarts or whatever? Like, isn't this teleportation?
It's
So,
not the same.
but couldn't they get a port? Couldn't Voldemort get a port key to Hogwarts and teleport into Hogwarts using a port key?
I assume so, but she doesn't set up the rules for the destination.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
what do it's like it's not as defined as Wheel of Time traveling, where it's like you have to know where where you are to go where you want to go, which doesn't make sense. And then that little rule at the end where it's like, well, just hop a little bit away, and then all of a sudden you knew where you were.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It automatically makes you know it, and it's weird. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't think about it. I was just like, oh yeah, they just popped up.
And right after that, the port key usage. So right when they're called, right before the port key goes, Dumbledore looks Harry in the eyes, and um, Harry uh, notes Dumbledore's like clear blue gaze, and then Harry's scar just burns like crazy.
Yep, because he hates Dumbledore, or Voldemort hates Dumbledore.
Yeah, Voldemort hates Dumbledore, and then Harry and Voldemort are kind of emotionally connected here.
Yeah.
um, so they go to Sirius Black's house.
Hmm.
They show up, and um, what's that? Okay, yes. There's a predicament between letting the Weasley kids go see their father and risking giving up info about the order. So, like, all the kids know that their father's in the hospital. And they're
Yeah.
like, we need to go see him. And they're like, yes, we know you want to go see him because he's in danger. And they talked about the Weasley clock. And so Mrs. Weasley actually knew because it's like probably on extreme peril
Yeah.
for Mr. Weasley. And so the the it's like we can't go because then the ministry would be like, how did you know he was here?
Yeah.
Like, we haven't announced this, we haven't gotten any information out. How did you know that your dad was in the hospital? It's like,
Which
well, and so
makes
then
sense.
Fred and George actually start fighting with Sirius about that, and they come to heads. Um,
Yeah. Which understandable, but they can't really blow their cover. And they
and
don't
not
want.
and back to when Dumbledore looked at Harry. Harry's now internalizing the feelings, and he actually realizes that when Dumbledore looked at Harry, Harry wanted to attack Dumbledore. It wasn't just that he was hurt by Voldemort's connection here. He legitimately wanted to attack Dumbledore.
Yeah, there's some feelings passing through.
We also get a moment of happiness between Sirius and Mrs. Weasley. Um, and so Sirius, Mrs. Weasley's like, y'all can't go to the hospital. We're gonna stay here for Christmas. And Sirius is like, oh yeah, that'll be great. The more people here, the merrier, because he's always just stuck there.
Yeah.
He wants to go out doing things. He hates that Snape always tells him that, hey, you're not doing anything for the order while I'm out here risking. It's like, yeah, hey, moron, I can't.
Yeah.
Like,
But
stop using this against me.
well, we know why he uses it against them.
Well, yeah, but
But yeah, is this when they almost fight each other? Or
Snape and Sirius, no.
no, that's maybe next chapter.
Yeah, it's either the next chapter or in chapter 24. And that's because Dumbledore told Snape that he needs to teach
Yeah.
Harry
Occlumency.
occlumency.
Yeah. Yeah, they get to go to the the magic hospital, which was fun.
Yeah, so Saint Mungo's. I like the description on the outside. It's like a run down. It's disguised as an old closed department store.
Yeah.
So it's like bad enough that or it's bad enough that nobody really wonders, hey, let me go in and look, but it's not good enough that people are like, well, why haven't they done something with it?
Yeah.
Not tearing it down. Um, so I like that. It's kind of an interesting look at how they disguise things in the Muggle world
Yeah.
and hide them away. We do find out that Mr. Weasley has to be given a blood replenishing potion every hour, like we discussed, because the venom in the snake stops blood from coagulating.
Yeah, so just he's bleeding all the time. But he's alive and they're all very thankful to Harry, but Harry's feeling all guilty. He's like, I attacked him. He's very confused.
I
I do
highlighted.
it.
Go ahead. I'm trying
Aside,
to. I highlighted something. I'm trying to figure out why.
so I also have something weird. Okay, so when they're going through, there's a plaque for a dude that made the entrail expelling curse, which sounds insane and awful. Or I guess you would just throw up your intestines, or like it would come out some other way. I'm just gonna ask, how is that not an unforgivable curse? Because I was reading that, I was like, holy, that is nasty.
And
Yeah,
that's at the St. Mungo's
yeah.
Hospital.
Uh, there was a portrait of a rather vicious-looking wizard on the wall, captioned Urquhart Rockharo, inventor of the entrail expelling curse. And I was like, that is terrifying.
Yeah, it sounds not good,
Yeah,
but you would also think that being in a hospital, it would be one of like he'd be a healer that developed something that was useful to magical science, right?
yeah,
I'll call healing magical science.
yeah.
um,
Since he was said as vicious, I was like, and then I think they were on like the some other, they were on like the magical curses ward or something. It was just a thing I read. I was like, wow, that is, I want to see that. And how is that not an unforgivable curse?
maybe it is, and maybe it's banned, and
It should,
nobody would. So he might have created it, but it's like the was it the five-finger death punch, where it's
yeah,
like,
he's the only one that knows how to do it.
yeah, it's like it exists and it can be done, but it's not easy to learn.
Yeah, Voldemort needs to get that. Just start.
But I mean, he's
Just,
got Avada Kedavra, so he doesn't need to just
yeah,
make people expel their intestines.
yeah, I guess that's true. Just take the easy way out.
Mrs. Weasley suggests that Dumbledore was waiting for Harry to see a dream like the snake, so that he like Dumbledore knew. Like he
Yeah.
was using Harry. That might be why he was distancing himself from Harry, because
Yeah.
maybe it makes Voldemort not feel as he's being watched by Dumbledore. So
Maybe.
the less that Harry, because we saw whenever Harry and Dumbledore looked at each other, Harry started to have those emotions that Voldemort has for Dumbledore. And so we can assume that that Voldemort is aware of that as well. I feel. And so if that's the case, then Voldemort would be highly aware of how often and frequent Harry and Dumbledore are together. And if he's distanced from it, he'd be like, okay, Dumbledore's not protecting him right now. I can get in his mind a whole lot more.
Maybe, yeah.
And then with the introduction of occlumency and legilimency, very weird terms for
Terms, yeah.
managing things coming up. So let's just take some things and put mincy at the end of
Yeah,
them.
makes it sound magical.
So yeah, maybe that's it. Um,
We can get to my question with Augmency when it comes up, but I have a thing about it.
okay, yeah. Um, Harry listens in to the room. Yeah, Moody here names it says the boy seeing things from inside. You know who's Snake. Obviously, Potter doesn't realize what that means, but if you know who's possessing him, so
Yeah, so
he was listening in through the
The
door
yeah, the ears.
with the extendable ears, and he takes them out, and his heart's beating, and he looked around at the others, and they're all suddenly scared as well. So
Yeah,
like, oh my God, Harry's being possessed.
I'm glad this doesn't last long. He has the typical like I need to leave thing. Um but that doesn't last too long. We'll get to that.
Yeah. Christmas on the Closed Ward, chapter 23. Looks like we're moving through this pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. He felt he had seen Dumbledore. That must mean he was allowed to sleep, but he was scared. Um, okay. Where is okay, they're back at
Yeah,
I
they're
think they're
back.
back at Black's house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're back at Black's house, and this is where that empty portrait it kind of confirms here because like uh
Yeah, because it talks to him.
yeah, he talks to him and then he notes it's like, okay, the empty canvas remains silent. Fuming, Harry dragged his trunk back to the foot of his bed, then threw himself face down upon the moth-eaten covers, his eyes shut, his body heavy and
Yeah.
aching.
Yeah, so basically Harry is like, I'm the weapon, I'm a danger to everybody, does the typical like, I'm gonna leave because I love you type thing. And then luckily Ginny's like, hey idiot, I was possessed by Voldemort, you could talk to me.
Yeah, right.
He's like, oh yeah, that happened.
It's funny. He's about to leave, and then Nigellus Black comes into the picture and goes, "Dumbledore says you should stay," and like it pisses Harry off. He's like, "That that that mofo." He's just watching me. Like, who is he, man? Like, and it does suck when you're under a lot of pressure and feeling mixed emotions and uncertainty, and you feel like you'd be burdening anybody you would try to talk to as well.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, especially if it's something you um consistently or frequently deal with, like emotions that come up that you're dealing with, and you're not always in them, but like they'll frequently come up, and when they do, like grief for instance might be one, right? Anytime you think about somebody that you love that's passed away, whether it be an animal or a friend or a family member, when it pops up you start to feel sad, and any other kind of thoughts, grieving can come up, and you talk to somebody, hey, I'm sad about this, and they're like, hey, well, it's this. Well, then you might go a few weeks with it, and it comes up again. And you're like, well, I felt better when I talked about it last time, but do I really want to talk to the same person about it again? Because they're gonna be like, dude, come on, like get over it. And then you start going, yeah, I shouldn't talk to somebody. Where usually they're just like they're not gonna feel that way. But you convince yourself that they are gonna feel that way. And this is kind of like what's happening with Harry right here. Because Jenny's like, hey, I was possessed by Voldemort. You could talk to me. He's like, nah, I don't really want to talk to you.
Yeah. But she's also like, I have the mechanics of what happens when you get like you lose time, you lose memories, like you're actually possessed. You aren't just like having a headache and weird visions. Like you're actually getting possessed. So it's good that he knows he's not being possessed. But there is a connection, which is nice.
I should have started a counter for this, but again, Hermione brings up that you in Hogwarts of history, it's mentioned that you can't apparate or disapparate inside Hogwarts.
Eh?
It's like, okay,
But apparently you can take a port key.
yeah, you can take a port key out at least.
At least out, yeah.
Well, then that's the second time that the port key has worked outside to bring outside of Hogwarts. Actually, no, it brings back in Hogwarts too, because the port key in Goblet of Fire, the maze was on the Quidditch pitch.
Mm.
They took it out and it went to the graveyard near Tom Riddle's in Tom Riddle's hometown, wherever
Yeah.
that is. And then whenever Harry escaped with Cedric's body, he ran to the port key and touched it, and it brought him back inside the maze.
Yeah.
So you could take a port key in and out. Um, which also I wonder why Barty Crouch made it so that it could return to the Quidditch pitch.
I don't
Like,
know.
dude, come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
maybe it was a round trip port key.
Maybe. I wonder if
May-
they're
Maybe you could set it to be a one-way ticket or a round trip ticket.
maybe. Hmm.
Harry realizes that he's not the weapon after all. After talking with uh, Hermione, Ron, and I think Ginny's in this one too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so Ginny was talking, explaining how, you know, you're going to have gaps in your memory when you're possessed, et cetera, et cetera. And that, hey, you didn't actually disappear. Ron's like, your body was in the bed. You did not go anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
you it might be possible that you control the snake with your mind, but it's more likely that you're just, yeah, your thoughts, your mental, your brain power is your psyche. There's the word. Your
Yeah.
psyche is going into the snake. And you're not actually being controlled to make something happen. Because the snake was the one that bit Mr. Weasley.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that gives Harry some relief that he realizes he's not the weapon.
Yeah. And I'm glad he's not the weapon. It would be kind of boring if he was.
Yeah. So during Christmas, the Black House is set up, um, for decorated for Christmas. Even the stuffed elf heads
Yeah.
on the wall wore Father Christmas hats and beards.
Yeah. Do you have a note with the decorations? The Christmas tree is decorated with live fairies, which is kind of messed up.
Are they in cages?
I don't know.
Where is that right at the beginning here?
Yeah, a great Christmas tree obtained by Mundungus and decorated with live fairies blocks Sirius's family's tree from view. And even the stuffed elf heads on the hall wall were feather Christmas hats and beards. So, I don't know. Eh, maybe they like it, hopefully.
I just see all these stuff. I wonder if Hermione was the one that did it. It's like, look, I'm giving you clothing. You're free now, finally, posthumously.
Maybe, yeah.
Please join. Please join the elf.
The spew or whatever.
Yeah, the spew. Well, wasn't the Elf Liberation Front? Didn't she change it to that?
Maybe. Can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was changed, but maybe it was changed to spew.
Maybe. I know it was spew at one point.
Sirius and Lupin. So we're getting into kind of some gift giving.
Yeah.
Apparently, Hermione has given Ron and Harry every year a homework planner.
It's very Hermione.
Yeah, very, very. So she's like, she write, it would say like, do this today or later you'll pay, type things. Sirius and Lupin gave Harry basically a portable YouTube channel with spell tutorials.
Yeah.
It's a practical it's a set of books, practical defensive magic and its use against the dark arts, which had superb moving color illustrations of all the counter jinxes and hexes it described. So it's like, here's a portable YouTube with tutorials, Harry. Yay.
Gonna help him teach his class.
Percy, that Percy, he sent back the Christmas present, which was a jumper that Mrs. Weasley had sent to him.
Yeah.
So Mrs. Weasley was very motherly still, and even though she was disappointed in Percy,
Yeah.
um, I'm a parent, you're not a parent, but you know, even times where I'm disappointed in Jules, I still love her and show her that I love her in various ways.
Yeah.
This is very important. Um, it would take something very serious, like extremely serious and grave, for me to actually like disown my daughter. Um,
Yeah. Good.
but yeah,
I'm glad it's not a you gotta see you're disowned. Hmm.
we'll not get dark. Um, let's see. When they go, okay, so now they're planning to go see Mr. Weasley because it's finally been kind of announced. And Mr.
Yep.
Mundungus borrows a clown car so that everybody can go visit Mr. Weasley.
Yep.
They pile in. This is not the only clown car we've seen in Harry Potter, but it does make it extremely hilarious here for some reason in my mind.
Yeah.
uh, when they do go see Mr. Weasley, he's mentioned. So let's see. There were some people. Well, we get to we get to see what the different wings, the different floors are
Yeah.
responsible for different like wards for different conditions. They go in. We do eventually get to see who's in the room with Mr. Weasley. I think there's multiple people in his room.
Just the werewolf guy that got bit by a werewolf.
Oh yeah. They were like that poor soul. That's
Mm.
unfortunate for him. Um we find out that Augustus Pye, who is a trainee healer, is like, hey, let's try some muggle medicine to see if we can get this snake bite to stop bleeding. And it's like, yeah, here's a remedy we have. It's called stitches,
Yeah.
which did not work.
Yeah, I could see him trying maybe like just conventional medicine would work where maybe it has just like anti-magic coagulation abilities. I don't know. Um, so maybe that would work. Mrs. Weasley does not believe in science or medicine.
No,
She's quite aghast about that, which is funny.
that is really funny. Like they only believe in magical means of stuff and not actual science.
But aren't potions just medicine? I guess they do a little magic to them because they wave their wands.
It's also chemistry,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I guess the wand like the magic word makes it magical, and so she's fine with it. But big pharma, she's not a big fan of big pharma.
No, no, definitely not. So the kids go wandering off. Um,
Yeah, because they want to get tea. They're just trying to.
yeah, they're like, let's go find the tea room. So as they're trying to find the tea room, a portrait of a medieval wizard affronts Ron, telling him it's like, "Hey, you clearly have a bad case of spatter gout," and like, it's like, what? What is that? It's like all over your face. You're pockmarked and more gruesome even than. It's like this is a grievous affliction of the skin. It's like, listen here, you portrait. This is just freckles.
It's funny.
But I mean, I could see Spattergroit. I could see that being like it kind of sounds freckleish because like freckles are spattered or
Yeah.
splattered, maybe spattered. I don't know what is. I don't know, what is spatter? What definition of spatter? Cover with drops or spots of something. So if you spatter something, you cover it with drops or spots. But if you splatter, what is that's weird. Splatter is splash with a sticky or viscous. Okay. So you're like throwing something at both of those words, you're throwing something at something, but one is like covering it with drops or spots of something. The other is covering it with something liquidy. Poor Ron, he gets insulted by a whole lot of portraits.
Yeah. He's the butt of a lot of jokes. Poor guy.
They run into Gilderoy Lockhart.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do, they're talking like he's talking to them and he won't stop. And
Yeah.
then basically why can't I think of the word?
A nurse?
A nurse or
A resident?
yeah, that's not the term I'm looking for, but nurse will do. A nurse comes out and it's like, "Oh, Mr. Lockhart, what are you doing out of your room?" And he's like, either she says, "Oh, yeah," she says, "It is nice of you to have come to see him." At which point Ron's like, "Actually, we were, you know what? Yeah, sure, we'll go visit Mr. Lockhart for Christmas."
Yeah.
And so they basically go into the psych ward.
Because he is still messed up.
He's never going to recover.
Yeah.
But um, she mentions Mr. Bode as well. So
Yeah.
Broderick Bode is somebody we heard of before, right?
Yeah, he was a ministry person. I think.
Yeah, he
Forget
was.
where we heard about him, but
I wrote something later on because I looked him up. We'll get to him, but
yeah.
because I wrote it as like, have we heard of Broderick Bode before? And we have.
Yeah.
Um, but he's getting better. He does get killed
Yeah.
later on. There's a plant that was put in there.
Yep. Strangles him to death.
Yeah,
Pretty messed up.
we run into Neville's parents,
Yep.
and we see they see Neville there, and so Harry sees Neville first,
Mm.
and he's like, "Oh, nobody else sees him." It's like, "Oh, we got to get out of here." And then I think Ron sees Neville, and he's like, "Neville, what are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And then that's when everybody else finds out that Neville's parents were tortured and
Driven insane.
driven insane by Bellatrix Lestrange,
Strange. Yeah.
uh, who is Sirius Black's cousin, which
Yep.
we found out in a
Ooh,
previous
yep. Yep.
chapter.
Yep.
Um, have you ever? So speaking about this one, right? Have you ever visited a nursing home or anything?
Yeah, I've visited a few. Had some grandparents in nursing homes.
Have you ever? Did you ever experience or interact with any of the other tenants that were there?
I mean, not more than briefly.
All right. Yeah. So like a lot of times, sometimes what's happened to me, I'm walking down the hall trying to go to the room to visit, my grandparents or anybody, and there'll be other tenants there, and usually it's like a single person. A lot of times it ends up being an older a lady,
Hmm.
and like she'll stop me and go, "Hey, who are you here to visit?" Or if they have dementia, it's like, oh, you came to visit me.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it's like, who do you think I am? It is awkward when they mistake you for somebody that they know, or they're just like, oh, somebody's here. This is a person that I am. It reminds them of their children, grandchildren, or whatever that may or may not come visit them. Um, it's kind of sad sometimes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this part's very sad.
But yeah, I'm dealing like my we'll move on to the next chapter after this, I think, unless you had something.
No.
Um, but my grandparents, I have three living grandparents right now, and they're all living in assisted care. So uh, I have a grandma and grandpa who are live in Dallas area, Plano area, and they live in together in an assisted living. And then my other grandmother is in the Baton Rouge area, and she just moved into an apartment, assisted living apartment. But yeah, my grandpa, he he's got dementia, so like he doesn't remember who I am. But whenever I go visit him, my aunt or whoever's there is like, "Hey, your grandson's here. He came to see you," and he's like, the last few times I've gone, his response is, "Oh, that's great." Like he seems very happy about it, even though like he
Yeah.
does not recognize me at all. And there was a cute moment the last time I visited where I brought them lunch and we went to the tables outside the room, and my grandpa came out first, and then a little bit later my grandmother came out, and before she sat down, she went to go give him a kiss and said, "I haven't even kissed you yet this morning." And my grandpa goes, "Who are you?" And I'm pretty sure he recognizes her.
Mm.
Um, at which point it was just a funny, facetious, like, "Who are you?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm just the girl next door." It was just like a cute, romantic little exchange between old people.
Yeah.
It just made me laugh and warm my heart. So,
Yeah. Definitely.
but everybody deals with that kind of end of life cycle differently. Some people choose to remember those people, keep the memories that they have already as they are,
Mm.
and not quote unquote taint them, if you will, with the current situation. And others just go visit and get what they can out of it and just accept it for what it is. There's no right or wrong, but
Yeah. 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 But you don't really have anything to add. My grandparents have been dead for a long time.
oh
Uh,
no. Oh,
about, I don't know, like 10, 12 years now. But yeah,
how
nursing
dare they
homes
get
are,
old, Justin?
yeah, how dare they? Nursing homes are depressing. But but yeah, this was a sad thing, especially like when his mom gives him the wrapper and the grandma's like, "Oh, you have enough to like fill up the entire room," but he takes it anyway because it's his mom.
Yeah, that was sad because she's like, his grandmother's like, throw it away. He's like, okay, and then pretends to throw it away.
Yeah, yeah,
Reminds me of stuff that Jules does, where like, throw this away, and she's like, no. It'd be like a box that something came in.
mm,
She's like, I need this box, and then we like, no, you don't throw it away. And then we find it later on, and it's all painted with paint, and I'm like, what is this? Okay, whatever. Chapter 24, occlumency. I know you had questions, so you want to take this over. This is where well, the beginning of it is where Snape and Sirius fight.
yeah. So occlumency, it's like how to basically shield your mind from intrusion, and
Mhm.
stop people from getting inside your brain and like guessing, like manipulate you and stuff. Why is it not required for Aurors to know this thing? It seems incredibly important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they like all of them aren't like experts at this. Maybe it's really hard, but it should be like a thing that they do. They're gonna like go undercover and like it's just
It-
something I thought of. I was like, why doesn't everybody know how to do this?
but that's true, but not everybody knows legilimency either.
But wouldn't it also stop you from like getting mind control? I don't know if that's actually how it could work, but it would like maybe help you push it off if it's like another mind invading thing.
I don't know. It seems like they're separated, right?
Yeah,
It seems like one is like the Imperious curse is you're going to do what I tell you to do, like a force of will,
yeah,
whereas legilimency is I'm going to look into your mind and see your thoughts. And in description so the description of occlumency says the magical defense of the mind against external penetration,
yeah. Which I
which
mean sounds like it would stop the mind control as well.
but it also insinuates that there's an internal penetration.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. But
Like
just
what would that even be, right?
yeah, I don't know. Just because like the reason Snape is able to like be a double agent is because he has the thing where he can't nobody can like read his mind, even though like you think Voldemort would be like, stop resisting me, let me read your mind to like you know so
Well,
but
maybe he's able to
it's like
wall off and only give him
certain
like he
things.
gives them enough to make him think that he's not blocking it.
Yeah, I could see that. But it just seems like that should be like required for all orders.
But also, yeah, no, I don't disagree. But
Yeah.
also, I'm I find it very interesting that before he even goes into this with Harry, he uses the pensieve to pull out
Yeah.
memories that he doesn't want Harry to like access. Like, why are you afraid of him accessing this? Like, aren't you good at occlumency? Can't you
Yeah.
like block him? Like,
I don't know. Yeah, that's
he
funny.
he's set up as one of the best of it, right? That's why
Yeah.
Dumbledore asked him to teach Harry. It's like, but all right, Harry, well, before we do this, let me take these things out so that you can't possibly get to them. Like, are you second guessing your ability?
Yeah, that was a little weird too. And he doesn't really teach him. It's just more like, all right, I'm just gonna blast you over and over again until you like build up a resistance to it. Maybe it's like a poison.
It's like so if doing jujitsu, a goal was to get like an apple, like let's say each person had an apple, right? And when you roll, your goal is to get the apple from the other person. And a person walks into a gym, brand new day one, and the black belt that teaches class is like, hey, we're going over this, but look, I'm not going to hold my apples. I'm going to set them on the shelf so that even if you get through my defenses, you're not going to get my apple. Like, so do you have any confidence in your jujitsu ability or
Yeah.
what? Like,
And then
put everything on the line here.
and then after that he's like, all right, newbie, I'm a black belt. I'm just gonna get out of this arm bar, and like does it over and over again. Hey, I'm not gonna tell you how to get out of this arm bar, but get out of this arm bar, and just
Yeah.
like that.
It was really bizarre. Like it's a really
Yeah,
bizarre teaching
method.
strategy.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like there's like like a spell. He uses a spell to like, but it's just a regular shield spell later. But it's not like a. It's like I guess it's like an internal like like way to like partition your mind or something. So I maybe if it's not actually a spell, it's more like a mental. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, because they don't really explain it that well. It's just like stop me.
Yeah, I
Zap,
know.
zap.
It's just like a black box. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm gonna teach you how to do this. How?
Maybe it's kind of like you ever read Wizard's First Rule?
Yeah, I read Wizard's First Rule. I didn't read any of the other books, but the
Okay.
first one.
You know when he's like getting tortured and the way he like wins the torture is like he's able to separate his mind. So maybe you do something
Was
like that.
was that in the cave with the chick thing?
That's with the Mord Sith.
Yeah.
And
Is
yeah.
that what you're? Am I
Yeah.
recalling that correctly?
I mean, it's not in a cave, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, basically, like, he's getting tortured. He's able to like separate his mind into two things. So like, and then he's able to recombine them later. Maybe it's something kind of like this. Is like you're able to like separate your mind and only show what you want to show somebody. You know, it
Yeah.
sounds really hard, but also not magic.
Yeah. Um. So this part goes back to when you said Harry was bad at school because he says, "All right, you're gonna do this in my office." Snape says, "We're gonna do this in my office, and if anybody asks, you're taking remedial potions, and they're gonna believe it because if anybody has seen you in my class, they could not deny that you suck at making potions."
Yeah, my comment earlier is more like it was like he didn't pay attention in wizard history at all. He just copies off Hermione, and like he doesn't care about divination, which may or may not be a sham class. Just seems like he picks and chooses his classes that he cares about, which is only like two or three. But
I
because
mean, I think every
he sucks
student
at
does that.
potion.
I think every student does
Not if you went to those straight A's, Brandon,
that.
which I did too. But
No, I didn't do either. Sirius gives Harry a small package, but it's like, don't open this. But supposedly it'll let Sirius know if Snape is being too hard. So somehow there's going to be communication.
yeah,
There's literally a line of communication here, um, which later on they're trying to figure out how to communicate with
yeah.
Sirius.
We don't see the package yet, right? Yeah.
No,
We have,
we in this section
yeah.
we have not learned what the package is. And I don't remember what the package is, so it's gonna be a surprise.
Yeah, me either.
um, they take the night bus back to school.
Yep.
Okay, so they have to take the night bus back to Hogwarts, and this thing is such a hazard. Like you'd think that they'd use some kind of magic to keep the things inside the bus in place, but they just like let them all slide all around and slosh all around.
Yeah.
Um, and then they, depending on if it's night or day or uh, certain holidays or whatever, they've swapped out the interior. Like if it's nighttime, they put in beds. Like so they magic away everything. Like take away all the seats, put beds in.
Yeah. I don't know how you'd sleep on there with everything flying around.
No, I don't think you would.
I wonder if it's ever had an accident. Everybody'd be instantly dead.
But it
Like,
can, according to the movie, it can like magic itself wide or narrow or
yeah. There is a bus driver there, right?
yeah.
I wonder how they
Stan and Ern.
yeah.
Or I think Stan is the conductor, Ern is the driver.
Yeah, so it's like the Flash. Where like the Flash doesn't make sense that anyone can sneak up on the Flash because he can perceive time so fast or else you just run at everything. So whoever is driving this is like the Flash. They can perceive everything in minute fractions of a second to be able to drive it, which is interesting. Maybe it's another mutant
Yeah.
since we have Tonks.
I think we had that conversation before about the Flash being the most powerful superhero ever.
Yeah, it's really dumb that his main villain is a guy with an ice gun when he can literally just stop him at any time and never be surprised about anything.
But also being able to go that fast, you can phase through anything.
Yeah, and go back in time,
Yeah.
sorts of weird stuff with him.
Yeah. So he becomes his own enemy.
Yeah.
God, that show, it was good, but it also was very cheesy and campy.
Oh yeah.
I only watched the last season of it I watched was Savitar. I think that was season 3.
I don't know.
But
That show was good, but it had its time.
yeah, I stopped way before it ended.
Yes, me too.
So back at Hogwarts, Harry asks Cho to Hogsmeade for Valentine's Day after she heavily hints it. He's like, she's like, hey, maybe we should go here. And he's like, okay. And he's walking away and he's like, oh, hey, Cho.
Oh wait, I should do the thing you were telling me to do.
Yeah, you were literally just telling me you choreographed it. Like you said, you should ask me to go to Hogsmeade for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And he nearly walked away. So we already talked about that. The fact that oh well, we didn't talk about this where Harry Potter Harry said he just surprisingly he goes, he can read minds? Like, Harry, come on. Like,
Yeah. Which then Snape is like, no, but also yes. Just doesn't like the term.
yeah. Um, so we finally do find out what Harry's dream in a corridor was, or rather where it was. So we find out now that it was in
The Ministry of Magic.
the Ministry of Magic, going to the Department of Mysteries.
Yep.
I don't think that was revealed earlier when the snake attacked.
Yeah, because when Harry's trying to learn the new magic, it's actually kind of like breaking him down, breaking his defenses. So he actually gets kind of a new vision, and he uh, tells Snape, and Snape does a terrible job at lying. He's like, "What? No." And then it's like, "Okay, well, yes, it's there." Um,
Yeah,
maybe,
and
yeah,
this is what makes so it makes Harry and Ron actually suspect that Snape is a double agent, but for Voldemort instead of Dumbledore, right?
yeah,
He's like, maybe he's not really helping you. Maybe he's breaking down your defenses so Voldemort can more easily get to it, which is what's happening, but it's just a
yeah.
byproduct. It's not Snape intentionally doing this.
Or is it? Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's like the thing where like boot camp or something where you have to break somebody down before you build them up into a soldier. So like you break down their mental defenses, and as over and over you kind of just start learning like with the feel of the spell and able to like start, you know, being able to resist it. Because he does start to get better. Not in this chapter, but he's able to like fight through and cast a shield spell later on. So he is slowly but surely getting better, even though it sounds pretty terrible experience of maybe that's why nobody learns this, because it's just like, oh, we're gonna torture you for like 3 months as you learn this school of magic. And I learn all your memories as while we do it.
Yeah. And then the chapter ends with the bang where uh, Harry he wondered with a feeling of great trepidation what had happened to make Lord Voldemort the happiest he had been in 14 years.
Yep.
Because like Harry sees and hears Voldemort laughing maniacally. So he's like, what just happened?
Something bad happened.
There's Nyx.
Yep.
All right. Chapter 25, The Beetle at Bay. Let's see. Actually, a whole lot of stuff happens in this chapter. There's actually a whole lot of stuff. Um, most puts Harry in like a whirlwind kind of situation. So we find out that all of the Death Eaters escape. Bode's dead. Ron suspects Snape a Death Eater again. Harry bungles his date with Cho.
Yep.
And finally, Hermione blackmails Rita into writing an article for the Quibbler telling Harry's story. So we have, first we have the letter from a huge cat.
Yeah.
The article, the article in the Daily Prophet. So the news states that the Azkaban breakouts are rallying around Sirius Black. So the ministry assumes that people can't come back from the dead, thus believing that Voldemort isn't back, but instead that Black is trying to be the new Dark Lord. Like it seems like they're trying to paint Black as becoming the new Dark Lord, and that the Death Eaters are rallying around him.
Yeah, they needed a. If they're not gonna say Voldemort's back, then they're gonna pick the guy that just broke out of Azkaban to be the new kind of leader figure.
Yeah, she's staring into my soul.
You should
um
do that.
the but at least that they still believe that the other prisoners are evil.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, there's a complete lack of evilness. Evil still exists, but it's not Voldemort. This is a weird thing to argue about. It's like, hey, Babel.
Yeah.
So Broderick Bode was the person that Harry saw at the ministry before the hearing, and he works in the Department of Mysteries.
Yep.
So we find out that he was discovered dead in his bed at St. Mungo's, strangled by a potted plant, and nobody knows where the plant came from. But it wasn't supposed to be watered, and somebody watered it, and it decided to strangle Bode because Bode saw something about Voldemort and the Death Eaters that he wasn't supposed to see. Supposedly. That's my theory anyway. That's what everybody thinks.
We know what really happened, right? We found out later because he got mind controlled into trying to take the thing out of the department, but it had a protection spell, so it blasted his brain, and then he was getting better, so they killed him before he could say anything.
Oh yeah. I thought that for some reason. So Sturgis Podmore, what happened to him?
I think they tried. So I think it's the same thing. Like they tried it twice, but he got caught before he could like go through with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Podmore was put under an Imperious curse by Death Eaters who made him attempt to break into the Department of Mysteries.
yeah.
And he was sentenced to 6 months in Azkaban for the attempted break-in.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we find out later that this guy was also
I don't know why
they tried it twice.
Yeah, that bizarre.
It's a little weird that they tried the same plan twice.
That's why I got confused. I was like, hold on, wait. I said Sturgis earlier, but am I getting this wrong?
There might be some slight differences in the plan. I can't remember, but it was basically like the same thing. At least that's what I think Hermione surmises.
Yeah.
Later on in the reading.
Yeah. So anyway, he's dead.
I did have we can go on, but I have one thing. Is that in this thing, it says that he's yeah, when the prisoners broke out, that the minister worked with the Muggle government to like tell them how dangerous these people are. Wouldn't that make them not Muggles? Because
Would-
being a Muggle is just not knowing about the Wizarding world, right? So if like if both governments are working together, the Muggle government isn't actually a Muggle government. It's just regular guys that can't do magic that know about the magicking world.
I just assume Muggles were just normal people.
Don't they have a word for that? Because isn't the caretaker?
He's a squib, so
Yeah,
he's a pure blood that can't do magic.
yeah. I don't know.
Is what Filch is. I'm pretty sure Filch is a pure blood that can't do magic.
Mm.
Um, but then a Muggle is just like so. Hermione,
But she's not a Muggle.
no, she's a mudblood.
Yeah.
Her parents are still Muggles, but they know she goes to Hogwarts.
So it's just, but if they learn magic, they wouldn't be Muggles.
Right.
Okay.
If they
All
went
right.
and lived in the magic wizarding world, they wouldn't be Muggles, because Harry's aunt and uncle, the Dursleys, they're Muggles and they know about the wizarding world.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
But I think my understanding of when because they did this when Black was released too, or when Black escaped,
Mm.
they told the Muggle news and the government, hey, there's this escaped convict who's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout for him. But I don't think they told him he was a wizard. I mean, the news didn't announce that he was a wizard. The news just announced that he was very dangerous.
Yeah, but the guy. It seems like the prime minister or something knows about the wizarding world. If they
Mm,
have like, that's what
They
it made it seem.
they could.
Yeah, which is interesting. I
I
wonder what
mean, if
the
he tells anybody, if he believes it and he tells anybody else, most of them are going to, you're crazy.
or he's gonna get his CIA to like go start murdering the wizards. I don't know. Be
Yeah.
fun. Different book series. Or we
Hagrid, we learned Hagrid's on probation now.
mm,
And like they are just, well, the Slytherins kind of are really spreading that around. Malfoy et al. Then we do get decree number 26. And this goes decree the educational decree 26, which teachers are hereby banned from giving students any information that is not strictly related to the subjects they are paid to teach. Again, I think this shows Umbridge's hand a little too quickly again.
yeah.
Um, but it does seem effective in creating doubt as to who to trust. Because like every time it happens, it's like, okay, who can we like somebody close to us knows. Somebody close to us keeps telling on stuff.
Yeah.
I love the way Lee Jordan got some got detention here. Lee Jordan had pointed out to Umbridge that by the terms of the new rule that she was not allowed to tell Fred and George off for playing exploding snaps in the back of class, because exploding snaps got nothing to do with the defense against the dark arts. And it doesn't say he got detention, but Harry's um, when Harry next saw Lee, the back of his hand was bleeding rather badly. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he got
he
detention.
got detention for that.
Yeah.
And then nobody else would really understand that. Like Harry would, maybe Ron and Hermione, but
Yeah.
this is also where Ron suggests that Snape is doing the opposite of what Dumbledore asked him to do. So instead of like teaching Harry occlumency, he feels that he's breaking down Harry's mind barrier so that Voldemort can get in more easily.
Yeah.
Maybe he is.
We shall find out.
Harry's a dumbass. So
Yeah.
Hermione is like, hey, uh, oh wait,
Yeah, it's fountain.
Ron can't go. Okay, Ron can't go to Hogsmeade because Angelina wants a full days of training, and so of course when Ron can't be there, and I forgot I made this note before I found out what happened, but I was like, of course Ron can't be there when Hermione is planning to meet somebody in Hogsmeade. I was like, it's gonna be a girl. I mean, not a girl, a guy. It didn't end up being a guy,
Nope.
but that would have been. We still got a similar interaction to that what would have been happening, but it was Harry and Cho
Yeah.
because Hermione was like, Harry, I need you to meet me. Um, at was it um where did she want to meet? Was it
The three broomsticks.
oh yeah, meet me at the Three Broomsticks around noon. He's like, well, I'm meeting with Cho. We're having tea, and she's like, well, she can come too. He's like, okay, but she wouldn't tell him why,
Yeah.
which
For
is
some reason.
for some reason she would not tell him why. Um, and
And Harry is really bad at this.
he is extremely bad. So he's on his date with Cho, and so Cho points out, she's like, hey, so whenever Sirius Black escaped, why were there 10 um why were all the Dementors were around Hogwarts when one person escaped, but now that 10 prisoners escaped, why aren't we seeing any Dementors? Which point Harry was like, that's a good point. Like
Yeah.
maybe the Dementors have switched sides.
Yeah. Should
Which would
be.
make sense. I mean, you would think, okay, the lack of Dementors, but also the outcome of book three was that Dumbledore's like, yeah, the Dementors are never allowed at Hogwarts anymore. So it kind of makes sense that they're not at Hogwarts. But
Yeah.
Hogsmeade, they should
But
be at
all, but
Hogsmeade.
but also we've I mean the first chapter of the book, they're clearly on the other side. When because the Dementors attacked Harry the first chapter of the book.
Oh yeah. Wow. That feels like forever ago.
It does, it does. But
There's way too many pages in this book.
there, yeah, it's a long book.
So during the date, Harry's like, hey Cho, you want to go with me to meet um Hermione? She's like, what do you mean? Like we're on a date. He's like, well, she asked me to meet her. It's like, but we're on a date.
They're not really on a date. They like just walk around like I guess we'll get coffee and then I'm gonna cry about my ex-boyfriend.
At which at which point Harry describes her as a human hose pipe.
Which is also like, yeah, you just you just need to take some time, Joe.
And that was when he was walking away. Like Harry's just walking by himself. He's like, women.
Yeah,
It's like, what did she want to
women.
talk about Cedric for anyway? It's like, why does she always want to drag up a subject that makes her act like a human hose pipe? Yeah, just
Yeah.
imagine him
Not
walking down the street
not
in
very
Hogsmeade.
tactful.
No. Hey, I forgot. I got my a pillow back there on the couch.
Ooh, nice.
My room is not as clean as it usually is.
Gotta get on that.
Yeah. So then he goes and meets Hermione, at which point he finds out Rita Skeeter's there and Luna Lovegood. He's like, why is Rita there? And so Hermione's like, um, all right, what you're gonna do, Rita, is you're gonna interview Harry and you're gonna write his story, and Luna's gonna take it to her dad to publish because everybody deserves to uh, know Harry's story.
Yeah, she wants to do some propaganda of her own.
Yes. And at first, Reed is like, "No, I'm not." And Hermione's like, "Well, if you don't, then the ministry is going to find out about an unregistered animagus." She's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess I will." And
That blackmail.
yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff happens in there, but I don't think any of it needs to like have a
Not too
deep
much to
dive
get
into.
discussion.
Yeah.
Basically, he's able to tell his story and basically put out counter blackmail to the ministry's blackmail or to the ministry's propaganda. Um,
Yeah, it's like very straightforward story, like narration moving along.
yeah.
So chapter 26,
hmm
seen and unforeseen. Um, I guess this so Harry feels seen. I'm guessing like if I was reading the chapter title just now, I was like, what does that mean? Well, I think Harry's feeling seen because the article has been put out. And of course, immediately Umbridge bans it. It's like anybody that has a copy of the Quibbler is going to be punished. At which point it becomes the number one thing to have and read,
Yeah.
which like really plays into um, helping Harry. And then the unforeseen part, I guess, is when yeah, Trelawney gets sacked.
Yeah.
She did not foresee that coming.
She didn't. She's
uh
kind of a hack, but still sad to see her being bullied by Umbridge.
yeah, I do. Hermione kind of schools Harry on feminine emotions,
Yeah.
which was which is great. It's like you upset Cho when you said you were going to meet me, so she tried to make you jealous. It was her way of trying to find out how much you liked her. And Harry's like, why would you do that? It's so illogical. Like just be like, hey, I like you. Like, why do you need to go meet Hermione? It's like, well, because she asked me to. I don't know why, but you can come. We don't have to go right now. But
Yeah.
so Lee Jordan. Oh wait, no, not Lee. The twins. They announced that the snack boxes are ready to roll out, and they finally figured out how to get those, get rid of the boils that occurred with the fever fudge. And so it just takes a couple of drops of Murtlap essence. And they said that Lee Jordan put them onto it. But Harry put Lee onto it because whenever Lee came out with the bleeding hand, Harry said, "Hey, a couple of drops of Murtlap essence will take care of that." I don't know if you picked that up.
I did not pick that up.
I read that. I was like, ha, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Lee put us onto it. No, Harry put Lee onto it, and Lee was like, "Hey, try this." Good friends, good friends. But
Yeah.
Lee Jordan, cite your sources.
Yeah. Gotta cite your sources.
Yeah,
Yeah. Ron still sucks at Quidditch.
Ron still sucks at Quidditch, but Ginny turns out to be really good seeker. And even though Ron sucks a lot, and their new
Team.
their new team members aren't that great either. Gryffindor only lost by 10 points.
Yeah.
So they were down by 10 points, or sorry, no, they were down by 160 points whenever Ginny got the snitch. Ron, yeah, I'm just kind of going through things here. There's no fluid
Yeah.
conversation, but
Yeah, this chapter is not too much happens in it. Basically, they start reading about Harry and how um his side of the story, and people are debating and stuff. And then the the divination gets teacher gets ousted, but she's able to stay because Dumbledore is a kind man. And then he has a special teacher at the end of this chapter. That's
Yes.
kind of it. There's some fun stuff, but that's
Well,
kind of
Harry does have it's worth noting that Harry has a dream again, and he almost finds out, like he almost makes it through the door again before Ron snoring wakes him up. And so, like, all right, how many times is it the snake he's always going into the mind of, or what? And why is the snake continuously going down the hallway in the Ministry of Magic and nobody notices?
I don't think it's always like in real time. Like I don't think it's always the snake. I think sometimes it's just like what Voldemort wants. He really wants to get into it, so it's like projecting the dream. And then
So it's just like Voldemort's thoughts, like he's like Voldemort is envisioning himself going down the hallway and opening the door because he knows what's in the door, behind the door, and he wants to get it.
yeah,
And so he's not quite making it through the entire vision.
yeah, that's kind
Okay.
of what I got it as. So then like, but the snake thing was a like uh special circumstance where he actually like went into the snake's mind. But it could just be the snake, but that's what I took it as.
Uh with the so with the Quibbler article that came out, you actually start to see that professors are feeling hope now, and subversively expressing it, um, including this about face. So Trelawney has an about face prediction where it's like Harry was not going to suffer an early death after all, but would live to a ripe old age, become Minister of Magic, and have 12 children. So he's not going to die anymore.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Cho apologizes and kisses Harry. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe this. This is terrifying. I'm sorry." And Harry's friend Seamus finally comes out and says, "Look, I believe you, and Mom does too."
Starting to turn around the propaganda battle.
Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
fastest selling copy or edition of the Quibbler. This where and we find out that Malfoy's dad put the Imperious Curse on Bode, and this was expose from Avery and Rookwood. So it was another dream that Harry was having of um, Voldemort was unhappy and he was talking to Avery and Rookwood, and then at the end tortures Avery.
yeah.
Yeah, we talked about what happened with Bode. Um, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Doesn't turn down something in the oven.
Okay. Uh, we see a glimpse of Harry managing something during the occlumency session as he casts Shield, and ends up seeing a couple of Snape's memories.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's starting to get the hang of it a little bit better. He's able to like kind of see through the spell that Snape has cast on him.
Yeah, and it's just like Snape being an emo kid, uh,
Basically.
sitting in a corner, cowering away. A girl laughing at him as he like tried to mount a bucking broomstick. So just nothing too much detail, just kind
Uh,
of.
I did have one thing earlier. Um, is Snape in the books like short. Cause I just have the image of Alan Rickman who's super tall. Cause when Sirius and Snape are facing off, it says that Sirius like stands taller and he's like way taller than Snape. So I was just curious.
Um, I don't know. I never thought of I Alan Rickman is
Yeah.
forever Snape. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm just curious. It would be more in the line of being bullied and stuff if he is a little shorter, or I guess Sirius is a little taller, but it's just interesting.
Yeah, I mean Snape could also just be very lanky.
Sure,
You don't have to
but
be short, but if you're lanky, then people of a moderately stouter build
yeah,
might, seem more intimidating to you.
true.
And then we find out who the new divination teacher is, which is Ferenzi, who is a centaur. And Umbridge does not like that because she doesn't like non-humans.
Yeah,
And he allows Trelawney to live at Hogwarts because he says the so he says two things. The High Inquisitor does not have only has the power to appoint a teacher if the um, headmaster cannot find a suitable replacement. And he's like, I have found a suitable replacement. It's this. And you may fire my teacher, but you can't kick them off. You can't ban them from Hogwarts grounds. So Trelawney is allowed to stay.
yeah, it's good for her.
Then
What I
next,
wonder, I wonder what she did to garner so much respect from Dumbledore for her to last like 16 years.
I don't know. I think she's like innocent enough, and she might have glimpses of certain like seeings, but for the most part, she's just kind of. I get that it's almost like astrology, right? Where
Mm,
like some people believe it, but most people are like, no, it's just like fake science. There's nothing backing it. There's no proof that no, it's just all theory and prediction. I mean that's what divination is, right? So,
yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe we'll find out.
yeah, maybe.
She's just a sweet, loving character.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just interesting to see what that Dumbledore's so loyal to her, which is a good trait for him to have.
No. Um, Chapter 27, The Centaur and the Sneak. So we get Pavarti describes Ferenzi as a gorgeous centaur. Like, and then Hermione insults them by calling them horses. She's like, they're horses. What? No, they're centaurs. It's like, whatever, they have 4 legs.
Yeah, a little weird of Hermione's character to do that, but
I
it was
think
fun.
it is out of character too, because she's usually very caring and
Yeah, with like the house elves and everything. It was a little weird.
she cares for she's sensitive for not dehumanizing anything
Yeah,
or creating subhumans or whatever. So like that's why she kind of sticks up for the house elves, like you said. So if she doesn't do it for the centaurs, that's strange as well.
yeah, it was a little weird, but yes, they got some of them have a little crush on the centaur, which is funny.
And with him teaching divination, so what I got is that he was saying, all right, I'm more qualified. Like you'll find that I'm qualified for this as I think was Umbridge watching his class too?
I don't think so, which was a little strange.
Yeah. But regardless if it was, he was saying that. So Ferenzi was talking about centaurs being almost fey-like and in touch with reading the stars and all this, and yeah, the kids. So he's different from most of the teachers that the kids have, and most do not understand centaurs. Like one of them was like, "Well, why aren't we going up to the top?" It's like, "Well, how do you expect a centaur to climb the ladder?" It's like,
Yeah.
so he's got a room on the first floor that's kind of decked out to look like a forest. He really wanted it to be in the Forbidden Forest, but they're like, well, we can't really do that given how uh, Hagrid's lesson in the Forbidden Forest with um, Umbridge watching over went.
And he got kicked
Then,
out of his herd.
yeah, he did get kicked out of his herd for agreeing to teach for Dumbledore. But he insinuates that centaurs possess a form of divination that humans cannot comprehend. Yet he's still teaching teaching it to kids. I'm
Yeah.
like, they can't do. You just said that they can't do it, and you're still trying to teach them how.
I think it's yeah, I think Dumbledore was just like, hey, I need somebody, so she doesn't put somebody in place. So come on. But it's a little weird. He's like, maybe you'll become like a centaur and learn my ways.
And so at the end
But
of
also,
class,
he said like, look up at the stars for like a decade or two, and you might see something, which doesn't seem super helpful either.
right? He says you can. Will, yeah. I think it was like if you look up at we sometimes we look up to the stars and we see something, but it takes 10 years to find out if we were correct or not. Like, okay. Like, yeah, sure, just wait over time and see if something comes true. Like, duh. Makes sense. At the end of class, he gives Harry a warning to give to Hagrid that, hey, the attempt is not working. So you should abandon it. Um, so almost seems like he's trying to recruit the centaurs or something. Like,
I guess something like that. Like they're doing what the Giants they were doing with the Giants.
yeah. So that's kind of what I feel that is going with that. And again, I forgot what happens in the book actually, so it's going to be a surprise when we get to it. Um, in the DA, people are actually creating corporeal patronuses. We got Cho coming in with a silvery swan shaped patronus. Hermione's is a shining silver otter. Um, at which point there's lesson is interrupted by
Abby.
Dobby coming in and say, "You must leave," because Umbridge found out that they're meeting, and so they're scattering, and Harry runs out and gets caught by Umbridge, right?
He gets hit by a Malfoy and then
Okay, yeah,
the trip Jinx.
and this is when we first find out that the is this where we first find out the Inquisitorial Squad?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Basically, made certain students given them powers to like be able to give points and weird stuff, which
she's created the
seems
SS.
basically the Gestapo. It totally breaks the point system that was already kind of broken. But now the Slytherin people are just like, I have infinite points to give out now.
And to take away.
And to take away. So
they
I wonder who's gonna win.
they technically don't even have to take away. They just need to give themselves points.
Yeah.
So then yeah, so
Yeah. So Harry's taken to Dumbledore
with yeah, Umbridge takes him into Dumbledore's office. Cornelius Fudge is there. Uh, Shacklebolt is there. There's another aura, right?
Yeah, it's like Doosley or something like that.
Let's see, who is this? It's got to be. Okay, Dumbledore is there. McGonagall is there. Fudge is there. Shacklebolt. Percy is there. And Umbridge.
Yeah, and the traitor.
She's brought in.
Marietta.
Yeah, Marietta is brought in, and she's got sneak across her nose and cheeks, or no, there's sneak on her forehead, and she's got purple pustules spread across her nose and her cheeks. So Hermione hexed the list. So if you snitched, you got hexed pretty poorly. Which somebody said she should have told everybody that it was hexed that way. Like, why? So you would be
get around it, yeah.
either you get around it, or you keep a promise for the sake of out of fear versus
Yeah.
altruism or loyalty. So, and Marietta's mom monitors the flu network for the ministry, and so she's she's been asked, hey, keep a watch on this and let us know if any communication goes in and out. So she comes from a family of snitches.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
Yeah. Kingsley is like the best mind memory wiper ever.
Oh yeah.
Like he can like subtly use the subtle spell meta magic to just like rewrite her memories real on the down low with like 5 people watching him or in the room with him. It was quite impressive because I was so confused. I was like, why did she just change her mind? And it was like, oh, at the end we figure out why.
Yeah, same. And I guess that's what was happening with okay, so it says Harry fully intended to respond with a oh sorry. Now Fudge was asking him, I expect you know why you're here. Harry fully intended to respond with a defiant yes. His mouth had opened, and the word was half formed when he caught sight of Dumbledore's face. Dumbledore was not looking directly at Harry. His eyes were fixed upon a point just over his shoulder, but as Harry stared at him, he shook his head a fraction of an inch on each side. He said no. And then later on, he sees something happen. Hold on.
He hears the whisper of the spell being cast.
I thought he felt something brush past. Let's see. Where is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Umbridge doesn't. So Umbridge doesn't know the counter jinx to to Hermione's hex, which is crazy.
Yeah, that thing's pretty legit.
Where is it? So just take your robes away from mouth. What I hate. I hate that there's so much science, but
I don't think it's any magic to use on Harry. If that's what you're going for.
no, Harry noticed something move.
Yeah, he noticed Kingsley's doing kind of. It's a little subtle. Like he hears the whisper, and I think he like feels the the wand or whatever being used.
Yeah. Da-da-da. Why can't I find it? She didn't want. So she didn't want to talk. Then there's Willie Wittershins. Okay, Willie Wittershins was the person in Hogshead that overheard them talking to begin with, but that was before she had the
Yeah.
decree where they couldn't meet up.
Yeah. And then basically Dumbledore takes the fall. He because they have the list for some reason. It was just sitting out there. I guess it would have to be around for the curse to the hex to stick around. But Dumbledore takes blame for Dumbledore's army and kind of confesses to the minister, and then pieces out.
After knocking out Percy, Fudge, Umbridge, Shacklebolt,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he knocks out 4 guys because
Which
he's
is
yeah. I love how he's like, I could just break out of Azkaban, but that would be too much time to waste. So I'm just gonna leave now.
yeah.
Like, peace out. Should have brought more troops.
I am annoyed that I couldn't find this thing because I remember he's like something brushed past me, and it like Harry thought something was very odd.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think it. uh,
okay. So as Dumbledore spoke, Harry heard a rustle behind him and rather thought Kingsley whispered something. He could have sworn too that he felt something brush against his side, a gentle something like a draft or bird wings. But looking down, he saw nothing there. There,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah. So that was the Phoenix coming in. Or
as well, that was when he was doing. Yeah, Shacklebolt did something, and then something flew by, so the Phoenix came in. I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
Yeah, and poof,
poofs out.
8 pieces out. That was. Let's see. Yeah. Sorry for all that dead air.
No, you're good.
I was very annoyed. I was like, I need to find this.
Yeah,
Chapter 28.
hey,
So after he pieces out, um, and we're left with
Umbridge as the headmaster.
yeah. Oh, I did like Phineas Nigelis's voice said, Minister, I disagree with Dumbledore on many accounts, but you cannot deny he's got style. So, chapter 28, Snape's worst memory. Uh, Umbridge replaced Albus Dumbledore as the headmaster or headmistress, rather. So now she's the High Inquisitor and the headmistress, and she works for the ministry as well. She's got 3 jobs.
Yeah,
Wonder if she's getting paid more.
I would hope.
She seems like the type of person that would be like, all right, well, I have another job. I get that salary too.
Yeah, yeah, I would definitely hope she gets paid a lot. Be one motivation that would make sense for her, other than being pure evil.
Yeah. And this is where we get the Inquisitorial Squad formed.
Yeah, I think it's the official, like, yeah,
Yeah,
official.
that's when Malfoy announces it. He's like,
Yeah,
the Inquisitorial Squad. Um,
yeah,
the twins, they decide that they do not want to stay in school anymore. And they're like, we don't have any reason. We've been talking about it, and then just with Umbridge here, and they apparently have already secured a storefront and had a huge back supply of things to sell in their Weasley's Wizarding Weasels. whatever the name of it is.
Yeah, their shop.
They announce it at the end of the next chapter in career
Yeah.
advice, but they're like, we're gonna drop out, but
They want to go out with a bang.
yeah, it's like we'd walk out right now if we weren't determined to do our bit for Dumbledore first. So it's like, all right, Dumbledore got kicked out. All right, whatever. We don't have anything left to live for here. They're like, okay. So they start doing they start setting off some fireworks, and Umbridge is going around doing all these things, and the professors are like, oh, we can't do that. This doesn't have anything to do with our subject. We can't help you. So she's running
Yeah.
around. It's like, you're the headmistress. You have to handle all this. And she's like so worn out, and just recruited Filch to help her. And then she yells at Filch, "Don't stun them, Filch!" For the
The dragons, I think.
the dragons, whatever's going around. She's like, "Don't stun the rockets. When you stun the rockets, they explode." And she's like,
Yeah.
"Filch, don't stun them." And he's like, yes, ma'am. I won't stun them." Like, did she not know already that he's a squib and he can't use magic?
Probably not. Yeah. And that all that fireworks and stuff stops Harry from getting poisoned with truth drug, because she's questioning him about where Dumbledore and Sirius Black are.
Yeah, and
But
he's like, "Drink the tea." And he's like, "Sure."
just throwing it over his shoulder.
Okay, I asked that question already about the dreams. Flitwick comes in with a stinger here. He says, "I could have gotten rid of the sparklers myself, of course, but I wasn't sure whether I had the authority to do so."
Yeah, the teachers are being very passive aggressive, which she deserves.
Yeah, absolutely. She deserves it. Harry and Cho end up fighting about Hermione. Um, Again, because Cho was arguing that Hermione should have announced to everybody that she jinxed the list of names.
Yeah, because her friend was the one that snitched on them.
Yeah, and so she's like fighting back, and Harry's like, "Oh, don't go crying again." She's like, "I wasn't going to."
Yeah.
And then we get to Snape's worst memory. And so it's a detailed memory here.
Which he's led a pretty good life if this is his worst memory.
I agree, but also I don't know what it is with. So Dumbledore left memories in the Pensieve for Harry to find, and then Snape does it here. Like, Snape had put them in there, and then Malfoy came and grabbed them, and then Snape just ran off.
Yeah.
With Malfoy, right?
Yeah, because they found the Quidditch guy in like
Montague.
toilet. Yeah, Montague.
Yeah, and so basically the memory shows that James Potter was a bully, and it was in the fifth year, and bullied Snape for the sake of just bullying Snape, it seemed. Lupin and Sirius didn't do anything to stop him. Pettigrew didn't either. And then Lily so Harry's mom tried to step in and tell James to stop. And he's like, "I'll stop if you go out with me." And "I'll never go out with you."
Yeah.
So
Now, if you're the last boy alive.
Yeah, it's very embarrassing. And so, but what comes of this, the big thing that comes of this is that Harry realizes he actually has more in common with Snape than he does with his father at this point, with all the
Yeah.
memories that everything he's seen of his father, right?
Yeah.
Snape always tells him that um, his father wasn't, uh,
He was very arrogant and
yeah, he
not the golden child everybody says he was.
wasn't nice, just was mean.
Yeah.
And so in this, Harry actually sympathizes more with Snape than he does with his dad. And of course, Snape comes in while Harry's head is in the pensieve and pulls him out, and then it's like, "All right, you're banned from my office ever again, and you had to go practice occlumency by yourself."
Yeah. Which
I
I
don't
get.
think Dumbledore would approve,
Yeah, but also Harry, don't go snooping around in people's minds.
right?
It's pretty rude.
It was there though,
True.
and it was shining.
Yeah, can't stop looking at the shinies.
Yeah. Uh, so chapter 29, the last chapter of this section.
Hey, last chapter.
We made
Let's
it to
go.
the last chapter. The book is
Huzzah!
over. Book club's over.
Next week.
Well, for this book, yeah.
Yeah, for this book.
Um, career advice. Then we get field day, career day, job fair day.
Yeah.
Hermione actually drew up the study schedules for her, Ron, and Harry.
Yeah, seems like
So
she does that every year.
yeah, and it did say she did that every year,
Mm.
which makes it easier for all of them, especially with everything going on with Harry. It's like, I don't know how Harry has time to do school when he's just constantly being tortured and tried to be killed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of like it just reminds me of Buffy. You're just like off screen, they're studying or passing tests.
Now, Harry does he's thinking about his parents, right? And I think he's talking with Ron. He's talking with Ron, or no, he's just thinking to himself here about
Yeah,
his parents in the memory that he saw in the pensieve, and he starts to question. I wonder how his parents got married, and he he even a couple times thought, like, wondered if his dad forced his mom to marry him.
yeah, which is a little drastic. Just
Yeah,
seeing
but you could also kind of
one memory of a
see
15-year-old.
I mean, I kind of thought that too. I was like, well, how did that happen? Like, okay, did he end up forcing her? Like, is he not as great as we think he is?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't never really thought of that unless I got more, information. Seems like a drastic thing. It just seems like, the classic jock and nerdy girl or whatever kind of love story.
I could see that. He may eventually falling in love with him.
Yeah. Oh, you can't do that, and like, oh, they, slowly, you know, all those romance movies.
Yeah. So, what do you think? What was your most interesting here of all the jobs that were available? Right. So we talk about healer, becoming a healer, which seems to be the hardest one to get because you have to have an E in your newts and potions, herbology, transfiguration, charms, defense against the dark arts. You have to have E's in 5.
I mean, it makes sense. You're a doctor basically, so you
Right.
gotta be pretty smart.
Now I think they actually have to take extra courses, or was that for the aura?
I know it's for the aura, but probably the doctors also have to do it, the healers do.
Yeah. So there's that Muggle relations, which seems to be the most easily qualified one.
Yeah.
You just need an OWL in Muggle studies. That's all you need to do.
That's the English teacher of the Wizarding World.
Yeah. You could train security trolls. So is this like special ops? Is this like military, like
I don't know. Yeah, I guess so.
ROTC?
Yeah, the Gringotts security or whatever. That seemed kind of fun.
Yeah. Curse breakers for
Yeah.
you need arithmancy for that. That sounds pretty cool. Uh make a bang at the Department of Magical Accidents and Catastrophes.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, I like that it doesn't explain a whole lot of
Mm,
things. You're just like, okay, what does that mean?
yeah.
Um,
It's like hopefully they're not causing the magical accidents, but kind of sounds like they are.
I would hope so. I would hope not.
Man.
So,
Mm.
oh,
I'd probably do if I had magic, I'd probably do either healing magic's fun, so I'd do a healer, or probably the Gringotts like curse breaker sounds cool too.
the curse breaker sounds cool.
Which one would you do?
Oh man, maybe curse breaker or training security trolls.
Yeah, that could be fun too.
Yeah,
You'd be like Chris Pratt in Jurassic World. Blue.
yeah. Now we move on to so Umbridge. Umbridge had said, actually told Harry that the only fire not being watched by the Flu Network was in her office. So I don't know if that was a smart thing or a naive thing, like, or maybe Umbridge, maybe it's like Umbridge's own private server, like Hillary Clinton had.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. I would assume she would need, since she's talking with the minister, she would need her own like thing that's not monitored. So that makes sense.
Yeah, but also, do they not trust Marietta's mom,
Mm.
Mrs. Edgecombe?
I don't know. They just have Order of the Phoenix members already infiltrating the ministry, so who knows who you can trust.
True, true, true. So they make a plan that the twins are going to create a diversion so Harry can sneak into Umbridge's office to use the fire to go talk to Sirius.
To be like, was my dad an a-hole?
Yeah,
And which seems like a very big risk just for that answer that question. But whatever. It works out.
he's going to use the knife that Sirius gave him the Christmas before last. So in book four's Christmas, Sirius gave him a knife that will open any lock and unravel any knot. So I had to go look it up, and he actually was given to him. But it was described as a penknife and not just a knife.
Mm, okay, makes sense.
So he did give it to him. It was true.
This is the first time it's been used, right?
Yes, I think so. I think this is the first time it's been used.
Yeah.
On his way, or in his room, or out the window, he sees Hagrid coming out from between the trees and going into his uh, house, and he never reappears. And he doesn't have time to go talk to him because he has to go to Umbridge's office.
Yeah. But he sees the fire going, so he's not like dead or anything.
Yeah, but he's still wondering, like, because he kind of just limped out of the trees. So he's like, "What's going on with like?" Plus that plus the message that he has to give from Forenzi.
Which he did give, and he was like, "Oh, Frenzy doesn't know what he's talking about." Basically, is what Hagrid said.
Yeah, but Harry doesn't know what's going on, so
Yeah.
on to
But before the conversation was serious, we have Harry with McGonagall and Umbridge talking about his future, where he wants to be an Auror, and Umbridge is being super passive aggressive. I love McGonagall's like, "Do you need a cough drop?" And she says like 3 times because she's doing her little routine, which is super annoying.
Yeah, this is where she became my favorite. But yeah, let's continue talking about that. We'll go back to potions class because potions class actually happened before that, where
And
he makes so Harry. Well, let's go back to potions class.
okay,
Snape basically ignores Harry the entire class, and Harry notes that it was actually easier to create the potion without being bothered by Snape, and that he actually makes the most amazing invigoration draft that he had ever done. And he's like, okay, this is going to get marked. So he bottles it up, and there's plenty more in his cauldron. He bottles it up, goes, puts it on Snape's desk. And when he turns around to walk away, he hears a shattering. He turns around, and Snape's like, oops. Well, I guess that's 0 marks again for you, Potter.
yeah,
And Harry goes back to refill another bottle and finds out that Hermione has already cleaned it all up.
yeah,
That's like,
that sucks for him.
yeah, to become an R, you need defense against the dark arts, transfiguration, charms, and potions. And so Harry is obviously going to have a hard time getting those owls.
Yeah,
Oh, man. Which moves us to transfiguration class, right? Which you were bringing up here.
uh, no, I just brought up the career McGonagall. They're talking about what he needs. That was what I said.
Oh yeah, that's where McGonagall quickly became one of my favorites.
Yeah,
In the scene as she battles Umbridge,
yeah,
it's like they're just going back and says, unless you're prepared to take even more exams after Hogwarts, you should really look at another. Which means that this boy has as much chance of becoming an Auror as Dumbledore has of ever returning to this school. A very good chance, then," said Professor McGonagall.
yeah. I love when he leaves. They're just screaming at each other still. It's like, yeah, they definitely don't get along, which is funny.
Yeah. uh, Harry questions whether he actually wants to be like his father, which I think is a fair question,
Yeah,
but
and
maybe
pro-
unfair.
probably not. You don't really want to be a bully.
Let's see.
Yeah, they have the diversion, and he sneaks into Umbridge's office. It's kind of the end of this chapter, and he gets to talk with Sirius and Lupin.
Yeah, so when he's talking to Sirius and Lupin, they basically have a bromance
Yeah,
because they're like, oh, what memory was that? Oh, that was this one. Oh man, I remember that. Ah, they've almost replaced Harry as James, right?
mm,
Or put Harry in James's position as they're talking about this.
yeah,
And so after that, Harry reveals that Snape had stopped teaching occlumency, at which point Sirius and Lupin get angry, rightfully so, because like, wait,
yeah.
what? Dumbledore put him in charge of teaching you this, and he stopped.
And also, it's like potential, like, not quite end of the world, but very bad if like you know Voldemort starts doing stuff to you. So
Yeah,
just for that kind of little somewhat petty thing, just stop his duty. For that is a little bad on Snape's part.
yeah. Harry starts to hear footsteps, so he um, pulls his head back out. He only had his head in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and just before that, basically, the Lupin and Sirius are like, yeah, we were kind of a-holes back then when we were 15, but we kind of grew out of it, and that's why they got together, kind of thing. Which makes sense. It's like, yeah, they're 15, they were kind of dumb jock bullies, but they learned a little bit there the way, even though Sirius is still a little reckless.
Yeah. And then when he comes back out of the fire, he makes sure he has his cloak on. Filch comes in the office, pilfering through Umbridge's desk and saying, "Approval for whipping, approval for whipping. I can do it at last." So he finally is like excited that he can finally whip kids. And so he's like, they obviously you think he's gonna whip the twins. And so then Harry, once he leaves, Harry leaves the office, gets to a certain place, takes off the cloak, kind of melds in with the crowd, and then watches the twins escape. They Axio their broomsticks from which are chained up in Umbridge's office. They come and
Yeah.
they fly off, and they say, "Hey, come to number 93 Diagon Alley. Weasley's Wizard Wheezes." Um, so yeah, they announced the shop's address, which apparently got secured before all of this. Too bad their stock of stuff is used up now. They
Yeah.
used it to wreak havoc for Umbridge before they flew the coop,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, but they got a lot of pre-orders, so they best get cracking on remaking all that stuff, because their stuff, they're the little mad geniuses. So they don't really need school. They already got stuff figured out.
Yeah, good old entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like that 23-year-old CEO millionaires.
Yeah. They're gonna be the high school dropouts. Like, wasn't Zuckerberg or something? Somebody was like a dropout.
I think Musk didn't have.
Yeah.
I think Bezos too.
Yeah.
I don't think either of them have a college degree.
Makes sense.
So
Yes. They I'm sure Mrs. Weasley's gonna be really happy about them leaving school.
I wish I want more like in our real world, like more merch that's like the Weasley twins merch. Because I know we get some candy and things, but um just little fun prank toys.
I'm surprised it's not a thing.
Right.
It's weird.
But I haven't been to the Wizarding World in Universal yet either. So
Yeah, I've never been.
I might go this year.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, we'll see. Um, it's still kind of up in the air if we do that. We're doing a Disney cruise in December, or rather, uh, the weekend right after Thanksgiving. We're gonna go on a Disney cruise, which leaves out of Florida, about an hour away from like Disney World and Universal. So we were thinking about when we get back from the cruise, which is like a 3-day cruise, 2-night, 3-day, and then go for a couple days just to see Universal because we've never been there.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, and we'll see if we do it.
Yeah.
You have anything to add?
No, I'm just excited to finish this book. See
Yeah,
where
no,
it
it's been
all
good so
ends.
far. Like I
Yeah.
really do like it. I think it might be my second favorite. Like I think I agree with you that Chamber of Secrets is really good,
It
and then this
is.
book is really good, and then the other three are kind of
I
so
really like
far.
I really like Goblet of Fire, at least I remember liking it. And the first one's, it's so kind of kiddie that it's like what, like 150 pages. It's tiny.
Yeah, it's a tiny book.
Yeah.
Like this is like a Bible compared to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this one. It's fun. So I'm glad we're gonna finish it up next week.
Yep.
We don't have to, how many pages we got?
I do not know.
Like 200 or something. Like last one, like all the parts.
Yeah. I divided it pretty evenly.
Yeah.
So, but I think so. Think this last section, it was like 25% of the book. This final section that we're going to be doing next is like 22%,
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
according to the Kindle.
Kindle up. Yeah, it's gonna be fun finishing up.
Yeah.
And discussing with you next week.
Yeah.
On
So
paperweights.
on paperweights. So next week we will be finishing up Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix. See what's behind that door.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see what's behind that door.
Hopefully.
I hope it's not until I hope we don't have to wait till book 6.
I guess we'll find out.
And you may never know, Justin,
I may
because
never know because
Chris is reading book 6.
Yeah, and I cease to exist after this podcast is over.
Yeah, you
Just-
poof.
I poof.
Yeah, you transfigured into Chris.
Yeah.
Mike transfigured into you, and you're going to become Chris. So, all right. Yep. If you've made it this far, like, follow, share, whatever, all those things. It helps get this podcast a little more recognition, get it out there. Algorithms work better. People can find us. And I know there are more people that like you listening, and like me and Justin, Chris, and Mike, that like this kind of stuff. They like reading books. They might like listening to people talk about them. They might even want to talk about them with some people. So share it so that they can have that experience, the same joy that you get by listening to us. And also, if you have a beard or you know anybody that has a beard and you want them to have a very well manicured, is that well groomed, well manicured, well
Both work.
kept beard, then you can go to mudcatwhiskers.com and use code paperweights at checkout to save yourself 15%. And Justin, we will talk next week after we'll be talking after I return from Denver. So
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Have fun in Denver. I'll see you next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.